guys. Oh my gosh, you guys are all here. Happy Point Shoe Day. Okay, I am at the San Francisco Ballet Shoe Room. It is basically the last couple of weeks before the season gets out, so it is an absolute mess in here. So I'm just going to show you guys like the pretty part of it, unless you want to see the ugly part of it. There's just like a lot of boxes because there's a lot of dancers that are coming in next season that I'm ordering shoes for. So it's just like, and we don't have room for them just yet. So like, it's just there's shoes everywhere. It's like wild. Hi guys. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Are you in the United States? Are you different places? You guys had a lot of really great questions that you submitted. So we're going to go through those. And then I'm also going to take some questions from the chat as well. So hi from Texas, guys. Hi, Germany. I don't know why, but we have so many people from Germany coming in. It's so great. I would love to go one day. Hi, Norway. Excellent. Croatia. Yes, I want to go there one day. Perfect. Okay, and I'm glad that I made it here because I'm like basically 9 months pregnant right now. Like one of the things, oh, how's the baby bump? You want to see? I look so preggers. So big. I know. It's insane. I know. I'm scared. Yeah, so it's like I didn't know this before I got pregnant, but it's like not really 9 months. Like it's almost close to like 10 months pregnancy. It's so weird. The due date, it's like beginning of May. So it's really any time now, which is like it's fine. I'm gonna be fine. Okay, so when your little one grows up, will you encourage doing ballet? And at what age do you recommend starting dance classes? Ooh, okay. No. I'm going to do my absolute best not to encourage my own agenda onto my child because I feel like my mom did a really good job of not doing that. She never put her own agenda on me, so I'm going to do the same. Yeah. So hopefully I'll be a good mom just like my mom. Is it National Pointe? It's International Pointe Shoe Day today. So if you guys are sharing any of your pointe shoe stories, if you want to take pictures of your pointe shoes, share any tips and tricks that you have, any pointe shoe hacks, tag us. We want to see all of the stories, and then we will re-share them on our stories on Instagram. But yeah, love part of this movement. Why do other ballet dancers take out part of their shank? I've never felt like I personally need to. Yeah, so a lot of dancers who are in training, I don't recommend actually taking out part of the shank because a lot of times it can shorten the lifespan of the shoe if you're like making too many changes with your shoes. But a lot of dancers that do that, they cut out the shank because it kind of gives them a little bit more of an arch. It gives like a shelf for your heel to sit on top of, and it just like enhances the line of the shoe. But a lot of dancers that take out part of the shank, they're getting a lot of pointe shoes. So like for example, at San Francisco Ballet, they're getting 12 pairs a month. So unless you want to, go through that many shoes, you definitely don't want to do that. Okay. Who is the most famous person you fitted? I am really, really bad with just like celebrities or like minor celebrities. So I don't know. Maybe someone super famous came in and I had no idea. I'm so sorry if that has ever happened. I'm just really bad at doing that. But I guess like I've done like pointe shoe hacks with ballerinas. So if we're talking about like pointe shoe hacks, like Skylar Brandt, um, who else have I fit? I'm like drawing a blank. Pregnancy brain is a real thing. Yeah, Catherine Morgan is pretty famous. Yeah, definitely Catherine Morgan. Yeah, so I think, like, I don't know, oh, yeah, YYT, duh, hello. I feel like, because I see the SFB dancers so much that, like, I kind of like, I mean, Sasha De Sola, I mean, everyone at San Francisco Ballet, obviously, Megan Fairchild. Wow, you guys are like OGs. You guys watched all my videos. Nice. Yeah, so this is yeah, so that was really fun. That was a really fun series to be a part of. Like the point shoe hacks was honestly one of my favorite things because everyone prepares their shoes so differently. So I used to do that, and every company that I used to go to, I would go do a point shoe hack with like a company dancer. I wish I can bring that back. Obviously, I stopped it because I stopped traveling during COVID, but that was a really, really fun like series. Okay. Oh yeah, Luna Montana. She's pretty famous. She's definitely like so adorable, so sweet. What qualifications do you need to become a point shoe fitter? Um, like, sadly, there isn't like we have a certification of our own. So the method that we use for our point shoe fitting is called progressive point method. And that's because it goes beyond just shoe shape and size. It goes beyond it's more technique and dancer level, and it progresses with your dancing abilities. So that's why we have the progressive point method. So you can be certified in the progressive point method, but um there's really not a industry standard for, like, being a point shoe fitter right now, which is kind of sad, and I think it's the same thing with being a dance teacher as well. Like, you can have incredible dance teachers, but, like, there's no, like, proper standard that goes across all the whole dance industry. So, kinda I don't know. I feel like that should change in the next, 10 years or so. Oh, what colors do point shoes come in? Do you guys wanna see? Let's see, so white, pink, and then let's do could you grab me, JC's shoes, 42? Okay. Okay, Freed has been doing this actually for a while, but I believe that the first point shoe company that started doing, different colored point shoes was Gaynor Minden. So this is nude, and then there's white. So a lot of point shoes during the year, depending on the production, we have white shoes so that they can dye this shoe to any color. So if you have like teal tights and you need to have teal point shoes, this is it. And then this is just the standard pink. But it's funny because a lot of the dancers, when you dye your point shoes, it changes size. So, like, they have to, like, stretch it back out again. So, even, like, ballet slippers, when you dye their ballet slippers, it gets, like, crunchy and it kinda shrinks a little bit. But look at how pretty these are. Like, I will never, ever get tired of being around point shoes, like, all the time. Isn't this gorgeous? I'm obsessed. I love smelling point shoes. I love being around point shoes. Like, I've done this basically my entire life, and this is just my dream. Look at how pretty. And then let's see, you definitely didn't ask this question, but I'm gonna show you the shanks too. So typically, if you look at the shank, it's like, full shank. And this is the outer shank, and then there's the inner shank here. So that's the inner shank, that's the outer shank. And then there's these where it's like split in the middle. So this is a custom shoe, but there is like there's a stock version of this too. Okay, so we have another question. Could you explain why some dancers get a crease on the box above their metatarsals and how to prevent it? Oh yeah. So a lot of times it's either the dancers are wearing the shoes too narrow or too tapered, and then their knuckles kind of like sit on top of the box. So if you look at your pointe shoes, a lot of times like the box ends a little bit shorter than the fabric. So there's the length of the box and then there's the length of the fabric. So if the box is a little bit shorter and then your knuckles are all sitting on top of it, then like you kind of get that crease underneath the shoe. Um, and a lot of dancers actually start to prefer wearing their shoes a little bit tighter when they become like a professional dancer, because it's a little bit easier to control when the shoes are really tight on your feet. Not everyone, but you know, a lot of dancers do. So if you do that and then you wear your shoes for a long time and your box is like disintegrating, then like you're gonna get that line right underneath your knuckles. But usually you can change that with different shape of the shoe, different height of the crown, different like width across the metatarsals, you know, all those things. My ballet teacher recommended Gainers. Do you think they are a good shoe? I hear some people say they are a cheater shoe. You know, honestly, any shoe can be a cheat shoe, like any shoe. If you wear the reason why the the word cheat shoe came out is because Gainer Mindens don't die like a traditional shoe. Like a traditional shoe will just die just incrementally as you start to wear them, and then your feet get a little bit warmer and the shoes start to break down incrementally. And as the shoe dies, you actually have to start relying more on your foot muscles rather than the strength of the shoe to get up onto point. So that's how you get stronger. As the shoe dies, you get stronger. But because Gainer Minden, it never really dies. It just kind of springs you up forever. It feels like a new shoe. But if you get a Gainer Minden that feels like it's already broken in, then you're strengthening your feet the whole time. So you just have to choose the correct shank strength and like shape for your foot to be able to properly roll through and to use your foot muscles to get up on point. A lot of people don't do this because when you're going into a shoe, when you go into a store and then you get fitted for pointe shoes, you expect a shoe to feel brand new, right? So like in Gainer Minden, a lot of people say, oh, this is too soft, because you're comparing it with like a brand new pointe shoe. But really, you should be comparing it with like a perfect to almost dying shoe. So you have to just make sure that you're choosing the correct shank strength to be able to like, oh, this feels like I can go on stage right now, right? And then it won't be a cheater shoe. So it just depends on what you choose. Okay. I'm struggling with my big toe and second toe jamming in the floor. Oh, this was my problem. I tried box liners and wings, but neither are working. Is there anything else I can do? Honestly, you need to this was my issue. You might be in the wrong size. So sizing when it comes to sinking is like the first thing you should look at. So is the box the correct width? And then you want to look at the box shape, right? So is this the correct width right here across the metatarsal? And if the shoe is also a little bit more square, then your toes can slide down. So think of your foot as kind of like you want to bottleneck your foot a tiny bit. So either you're going to have to taper it a little bit more this way, where there's a little bit more, less room, or you want to go like slightly lower in the crown so that it kind of stops you from sliding down. But as your feet get stronger, your feet like literally it gets buffer, right? So it's like you get a little bit more muscles in your feet, and you know, you get a little bit stronger, and then you'll be able to pull up out of your shoes a little bit better too. So it's like you want to make sure that you're in the correct box shape and the correct width, but also strengthening definitely helps. So that's something that you want to continue to do. A lot of intrinsic muscles. So basically, your foot has intrinsic muscles, your lower legs are extrinsic muscles. So you want to make sure that you have enough strength. Okay, so let's see. I started point work. Hi, yeah, not yet, but it should be coming in this week. You might be getting some shoes. Okay. So, I just started I just started point work and my ballet teacher says I'm sinking into my box. So I think there is a misconception of what sinking actually means. So in the point shoe fitting world, when you say you're sinking, we typically mean that your foot is sliding down into your shoe like this. So a lot of times it's a very small movement that goes from here to here. So when you feel sinking, you feel sliding on the sides of your foot, and then you feel your toes pressing on the bottom of your shoe. So that's what's called sinking. But sinking is really hard to see, like, from the outside. Like, mostly the dancer will feel that. A lot of teachers will describe sinking when they actually mean knuckling. So that's when the shoe breaks really low, and then the shoe breaks, like, lower, like, towards the toes, and then your knuckles are kinda sticking out. So you have to clarify what they mean when you say, like, sinking, or is it, like, knuckling? Because those are 2 totally different things, but a lot of people use those interchangeably because syncing is really hard for other people to see. Like, you have to kind of tell, like, only, only you would be able to know if you're syncing. Okay, I'm an adult ballerina, did ballet classes when I was very young and stopped before I even turned 7. Returned to it recently as a 20-something-year-old. Will I ever be strong enough for point? Oh, easily. Easily. Like, there's a whole movement of adult ballet dancers that are coming back after a long hiatus, or, people who, have always, like, wanted to try dance, and I've seen a lot of people very successfully go on point. It does take a little bit more patience, though, because you're adult, like, when you're younger, you have a lot more chances to kind of mold your body to do what you want it to. As an a and as an adult, you're a little bit more set, so it takes a little bit longer to get more range of motion, to build up more strength, but your body can change. Obviously, the changes happen a lot faster the younger you are, but there's no reason why someone over 40, 50, 60 can go on point and improve. How do I know when Gainer Mindens are dead? I have a pair and they have sort of stopped supporting me like they used to. Okay, so Gainer Minden, or like any other like fully synthetic shoe. I don't mean just like synthetic shoes that are just synthetic in the box or just synthetic in the shank. Like, I mean fully synthetic shoes. They don't quite die the same way as as a traditional shoe. Like, you can snap a shoe like a traditional shoe, and then you'll definitely know it's dead. But with Gainer Minden, it's a little bit more difficult to like see that. They say that technically it doesn't really die. It just stays that way, but it does get a little softer in my opinion. So, it's the same thing with regular point shoes where it's like, are you able to get up onto point? Are you able to support yourself? Are you sinking down into the box? Are you too far forward? Are you getting pulled back? These are all signs that your shoes are dead and it's not supporting you. So kind of like think of those things as a benchmark to think about any point shoe, but with Gainer Mindens as well, because they do get a little bit softer. But it's not so drastic as like a traditional shoe. It should just, you know, stay pretty similar, or like it should get a little bit softer as you dance in it. Okay, how long do point shoes last for beginning dancer? Depends on what you're doing. So, a lot of times your first pair of point shoes will last the longest of any of your point shoes that you've had. And not only because you're you're not really doing much on point, but because like you're typically just at the bar, unless you did pre-point work with dummy point shoes, and then your teacher kind of takes you to point, like takes you into like the point world really fast. Most teachers will keep you at the bar for a little while, and because you are not doing much, you're letting your shoes rest between a lot of your classes. It's going to take a long time. If you are a dancer who is first getting their point shoes as like an 11 or 12-year-old, you're most likely going to grow out of it. But if you're an adult dancer, it really, ugh, it's, I know you hate this answer, but like it really depends. Like, I've seen dancers wear their point shoes for like 6 months to like 8 months because they're really just doing 15 minutes at the bar a day, like a week. So if you're really not using your point shoes that much and you're not doing much, it'll probably last you a long time. But if you are like a dancer in training that you're pretty strong, you go through your shoes pretty fast, the canned answer is 10 to 15 hours. Yeah, it's not very long. So yeah, if you're going to summer intensive and you're doing 10 to 15 hours of point work a week, then you need a pair of point shoes a week, which is insane, but that's how the cookie crumbles. I have been on point for about a year and a half now, and I get the hardest shank for my shoe, but they die too quickly even without me bending them. That's hard. I would probably, at that point, I would say that financially, that's probably the financial aspect of point shoe purchasing is the most important for you. So I would think about a synthetic shoe if you know exactly where your shoe dies. So let's say that your box dies first, but your shank stays exactly the same, then get a synthetic box. The opposite, if you feel like you're breaking just the shank. And if you feel like your shoe just dies all around and it crumbles right away, then try a fully synthetic shoe and see how long that lasts. Are bruising toenails normal after being on point? Normal, but no, I'm sorry. Common, but not normal. So you really should not be getting bruised toenails. Obviously, everyone's feet shrink and swell at a different rate. So some people, their feet get really swollen and they get much wider, and then some people shrink a lot. If you're in that camp where your feet kind of shrink or swell a lot, your shoes basically don't fit half the time. So, I would probably get different types of padding. So if you have one pair of point shoes and you know that at the beginning of the week or at the beginning of class your feet are the smallest, then you wear the thicker toe pads to start with, and then you move on to something that's a little bit thinner as your feet get smaller. But bruising toenail is like an indication that the size doesn't quite fit all the way. So, I would change either the box or the size of the shoe. Okay, let's see. I'm an adult dancer. I just started point a few months ago, and now all of a sudden my arch hurts on my left foot. Is this something that I should be concerned with? Yes. Um, no pain is normal pain. So if your arch hurts, like if it's a cramp, that's different. Like if you have like a Charlie horse, then you might need to. Sometimes changing your shoe actually does help. So if you get like a cramp, like a Charlie horse in the middle of your foot, then I would try just changing your shoe or like warming up your feet a little bit more, rolling it out. If it starts to hurt in a different way, I would probably defer you to like a PT or something that works with dancers on point and see if you can get a little bit stronger. Okay, so we're doing this live in honor of International Pointe Shoe Day, and we also have, and I never do this because I don't like advertising on our own like platform, but we are having a sale on our website. So if you guys want to purchase any merch, if you guys want to purchase any pointe shoes, we have a site-wide sale going on. If you guys want to go to the pointe shop and help support us, that would be awesome. But obviously, you know we're just here for you to be chatty and, hang out with you guys. Okay, some more questions here. If you three-quarter shank, will it make the point shoe die faster? Fantastic question because um, the answer is yes and no. So typically what I've seen is that when you three-quarter your shank as a professional dancer who's very strong, who has great alignment, who can pull up out of their shoes on their own, when you three-quarter shank because it gives you a little shelf, it does make your shoes last longer because there's no point where you're snapping the shoe. However, if you're a little bit weaker and you haven't been on point for a long time, you're a dancer in training, you may sit in the shoe and then the shoe will die faster because you don't have enough strength to pull yourself up. So it really depends on the dancer. But yeah, the answer is yes and no. But most of the professional dancers, they three-quarter their shanks to make the shank last a little bit longer. but it really, really depends. Some people will say they do that and then it's instantly dead. Okay, so we just have a few more minutes left. My point shoes fit well 6 months ago, but now the shank is twisting on one foot. Should I try a smaller width or a wider one? Typically, twisting usually means twisting usually means that it's a little narrow, a little lower profile, or it means that it's a little bit tapered. So uh, not always, but if you go typically wider, then the twisting will be less. However, if your shoes fit well that long ago and it doesn't anymore, you might just need a fully new fitting just to begin with, like, or your shoes just might be dead and it just may have died in like a strange way. So also you can try switching your shoes as well, your left and your right, and then see if that also helps. Any tips for point dancers with connective tissue disorders? Yeah, so anyone with connective tissue disorders, EDS, anything like that, the biggest concern I have for those dancers is support, 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 support. So, how well you are aligned. When I get these dancers with crazy, beautiful, wonky feet that have those connective tissue disorders, I want to almost pull them back and give them more support. So, we want to very stable box, super sturdy shank, things that, and then I'm really looking at the alignment from your hip to your knee to your ankle to your toe. Like, is it all well aligned? I don't want any tilting. I don't want any pulled back. I just want it to be super, super supportive. So, safety is my biggest concern with dancers like that. But if you have any issues, you really should be working with a doctor or a PT that specializes in connective tissue disorders and have a point shoe fitter that understands those disorders as well. So we're all in the same page. Do you have any advice for jet gluing shoes like Euro Stretch with gel foam cushion? I take it out and usually leaves residue. Oh, yeah. Okay. So what they're saying is that in the some point shoes, and we're mostly talking about the block, at the tip of the shoe, there's like a little cushion that not this shoe in particular, but there's like a little cushion that they include right at the tip. So a lot of the people that don't like them, they'll just rip it out. But there's always like little pieces of glue, not glue, like cushion left behind. And if you glue it, it turns jagged. So I would go around it. Like I would not jet glue the platform if you have any stuff left over in the platform because it will like poke back at you. If you need the box to be a little bit harder, glue on the outside, on the edges, like here, and then that should help as well. So just glue on the sides going down, and then yeah, just try to glue around it. Like don't glue the actual platform itself because there's going to be a lot of stuff left over. How do you feel when fitting point shoes for male dancers? Awesome. Like no different than fitting female dancers. I think it's awesome that they're doing that. A lot of dancers are jumping on that bandwagon, and I think it's gorgeous. They have like another layer of strength that is really, really beautiful to see. So I love it. I love fitting male dancers. I love fitting adult dancers. Anyone who is in like the outliers of like point work, I'm so excited to do. Okay, one more question. How can I make my toe pads more comfortable? I feel like they do nothing. Point toe pads should be fitted with your point shoes. So, not every toe pad is gonna be perfect for each shoe. You wanna make sure that the toe pad is properly fitted for each point shoe because, you know, some point shoes are going to require more or less. If you're in extreme pain, then, don't be afraid to add a little bit more. Lamb's wool is great. So, loose lamb's wool is a fantastic way to kind of, like, add a little bit more to your shoe if you just need a little bit more. You guys, these are all such great questions. I always we don't do a lot of these lives, but I feel like we should do more of these. Okay, I'm gonna do a couple more questions. Do you ever fit in Washington State? Yes. I go to Seattle. I fit sometimes. Yeah, I fit sometimes in Seattle and Vancouver, even though that's a little bit closer to Portland than Seattle. Yeah, and I was just there last week, or not last week, last month. All right, guys, I'm gonna try to do more of these. Thank you. I'm so excited for my baby too. I know it's like any day. When we were scheduling this, I'm like, I hope I'm not in the hospital giving birth. And like I said, please go to our website. We have a statewide sale that ends today. If you need extra point shoes, if you want to buy some merch to support us, then you can go to our website, click around. If you guys have any other questions, if you guys want to suggest more lives like this, let me know. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys later.